through the Medical Advisory Committee, and the board finally grants those privileges and rights to use the hospital. The lady who's seated to my immediate right. As I've said before, the chairperson of the Medical Advisory Committee is directly elected with the Medical Advisory Committee. And that is what has happened throughout the years of the not representative of the prevailing situation of the hospital. Some of those doctors we know are deeply conflicted and actively compete to destabilize and ignore the existing governance structure and create uncertainty and advance, in our opinion, personal commercial interests. At one point, the hospital was blocked from undertaking critical capital expenditure, including borrowing to replace essential medical equipment. These restrictions. Finally, I want to state, as the CEO has stated, that the Nairobi Hospital is stable, it is operational, and is fully committed to quality patient health care. And on the foundation of strong capabilities, the hospital has attained various quality certifications, such as ISO in QMS, that is Quality Management Systems, Environmental Management System, to clarify on any of these issues that I've stated. Maybe I would allow my chairman of the Medical Advisory Committee to the Board of Management, Dr. Gashoki.
Thank you, and the media. Thank you for coming. We are here to clarify what is happening at the hospital, because you have been having a lot of questions. The admitting consultants at the hospital. As you have been told, I am the elected chairperson of the Medical Advisory Committee, which is a committee composed of elected members from the Admitting Staff Association. So we have 730 members who, during our annual general meeting, we elect a chair as a process where the members have expressed their confidence in me to represent their views at the board. We have a very clear structure of communication from the admitting staff members through their divisions and to the Medical Advisory Committee, and then this information gets to the board. We therefore wish to clarify that these 5 members of the admitting staff who went to see our patron did not follow that is laid down of communication, either externally or even to the board, because this proper structure goes through the Medical Advisory Committee. And therefore, this was an informal meeting. They did not go to express any formal communication from the hospital or the admitting staff. And there has been no decision or any meeting which has come to the conclusion that we should send any representatives to the patron about the hospital. The hospital is stable, as you have heard, and you have seen for yourself. It is doing well and profitable, and we therefore wish to assure the public and members and our customers and stakeholders that the hospital is running smoothly. The admitting staff members are comfortable. So we therefore wish to advise our customers to continue visiting the hospital, and we continue to offer you the services that
Thank you very much. So we will now take a few questions. Kindly say your name. We'll take 2 or 3 questions, and then we can respond, and any of the team here can respond to those questions. So, yes.
Thank you, Chairman. My name is Seth. Question in regards to just to clarification one from the CEO in regards to the current unverified reports about 12 billion shillings, that is in debt. What is the debt position, and what is the mitigation towards offsetting that? And number 2, these doctors who purportedly represented the board once as the president of alleged mismanagement claims, would you disclose their names, identities, or are they the same ones we saw have a presence on? Thank you.
Dr. My name is Masi Chalamat. I write for the Daily Nation newspaper. I have 3 questions. I think Seth has actually asked one. And my questions are directed to the chair and to Dr. Agnes. Chair, while you were reading a statement, you mentioned that the previous board left a couple of loopholes that then created a situation of conflict of interest. I'd like a clarification on that. What loopholes were these exactly? What conflict of interest was this? How did it manifest? Who did it involve? What was it? Question number 2 was that about the doctors. This goes to Dr. Agnes. We have mentioned that they did not follow the structure, the conflict resolution structure that is set in the hospital. My question is, because these doctors seemed, most of them, they say they have worked for over 30 years and whatnot. I assume that they are conversant with how conflict is supposed to be resolved within the hospital. And therefore, what in your thoughts, do you think they needed to break that structure and go all the way to seek external interventions? Because we know at least 3 interventions have been made. 1 to the head of public service, Felix Koskei, and then 2 to the cabinet secretary of health, and then now lately to the president. Why did they need to not follow that structure and seek external intervention? And then my 3rd question is to one CEO. According to these doctors, these senior doctors, they mentioned that the financial mismanagement in this facility has cost suppliers money, that suppliers now have stopped supplying drugs and whatnot. So a clarification on that. And as well as the allegation that insurance companies now, the medical insurance companies are threatening to flee because they have not been paid. And you have mentioned the 9.1 billion. So what is the accurate figure? Thank you.
I think we can take those, and maybe they would respond to some of the questions that may arise. So maybe the CEO could go with the question from Seth Odale regarding the current deficit, and I believe it's the same question that you're asking. Yeah. So it will cover both of that. Yes.
Okay.
Just a moment. I
think I may have to move. Okay, thank you very much for those questions. I'll take the ones that are directed at me, the CEO, then the rest I'll hand over to Chair and, of course, Chair of Mark. So, Seth, as you would appreciate, we are a going concern. A going concern means, and I know we have business journalists in the room, means that even as we speak here, we are receiving supplies, we are receiving patients, we are also billing payers like insurance companies. And tied to that, I just want to maybe just pivot back to you on the issue of insurance. Remember, it's insurance companies that owe us money, so we don't owe them money. So they can't flee because we owe them money. Remember, when patients come here, they are covered by insurance. Once we offer the service and they go home, insurance then pays us for that service. So it's the other way around. We are the ones owed, not the other way around. So I just wanted to clarify that. But more importantly, back to the question from Citizen TV, we, being a going concern, we have more than 250 suppliers. Last year, and I think this is really, really important to contextualize what I'm going to tell you. Last year, cumulatively, we paid 6.3 billion shillings to these vendors. Our pharmacy line alone, in a year, we pay about 2.7 billion shillings to the suppliers who supply us. Now, we owed vendors 2.4 billion shillings. But remember, out of these 2.4 billion shillings, being a going concern, it's not due today. Remember, like today, I'm receiving supplies because I have patients in the hospital. So they give us goods on credit, we take care of our patients, then we pay later. So it needs to be contextualized. But more importantly, we paid our vendors 230 million shillings to claw back on what we owe suppliers. I also wish to categorically tell you, from time to time, payments because of cash flow, we are also collecting from our payers, and also once we get the money, we pay our vendors. There might be delay on payment, but as we speak right now, I've answered your question. There was a question from Daily Nation about insurance. I think that I've responded to. They are the ones who owe us. We are the ones collecting money from. Even as we owe suppliers money based on what they're delivering, we are also owed by the people who get services from us. So that at the moment, we are owed about 2.5 billion shillings out there that we are collecting. This is from the legacy NHIF to SHA, which I have to point out actually has been coming strongly to take care of patients and payers. So businesses operate on, you're offering a service, you're billing for these services, and those services are actually collected. But also, as you do that, you're also accessing goods and materials from the vendor. So I think that's the context that I would want to give for that. Yeah, I think those are the only questions that were addressed to me. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so we will be able to share that with you because, it's public knowledge. We won't shy away from it. But I think where you want to put your attention would be probably the legacy debts, because for sure, it's an ongoing, we are billing and we are collecting. Yeah, I think I need to really state that. We are billing, and when they fall due, we are going out there to collect our money. And they are paying. I think I have to say that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is there any question that I have not responded to? I think I have.
Maybe I can respond. Yeah. The ones who went to see our patron, was that the question? The identities of those ones. I don't know whether we'll be able to reveal the identities. You know them, you saw them, and they confessed. So regarding decisions made by previous boards, I think it's very important that we are cognizant of this. The problem of the Nairobi Hospital governance started around 2016. It is a 10-year journey of these issues. we had a lot of infrastructure development, and a lot of that infrastructure did not directly generate revenue. It was not core infrastructure to the main function of the hospital. And that began agitation amongst members of the Kenya Hospital Association. Subsequently, what happened is the board that was then there was dethroned. In the interval, there was a subsequent board and then an elected board. When that happened, they stopped all the work contracts that had been awarded for this infrastructure development that was going on. And significantly also, they stopped the payments to both the contractors and the consultants. Likewise, resulting in dismissal of many of the senior staff that were working then, and other staff that were working then at that moment. The arbitrators awarded a huge amount of money to the contractors as well as the consultants, an amount that is accumulated over time to about 800 billion shillings. 800 million shillings, which in previous boards has not, we captured as a loss in the books that were presented, that you saw the other doctors talking about as a loss made by the hospital. Like are in the public domain, and you know them, being presented as having been made by management and governance. Depreciation in our books, and we booked it in the accounts that you were so presented of 2024, and it appeared there. Likewise, has resulted in a lot of litigation. And when most of these cases, in fact, I would say 99% of these cases, we are deferred to the hospital, a cost that does not directly go into our core business. So these are cumulative figures that by the people who went to our patron to talk about us making huge losses. Let me say that clean slate, and we look forward to solving these problems, and we have begun a mechanism of looking at our articles of association and looking at all those governance issues that arise from these problems, so that we can have a long-lasting solution to the problems that bedevil this institution. I want then to, I graduated in 1995, so I also have 30 years experience as an obstetrician gynecologist. So does my chairman of medical advisory committee. Thank you.
The patron dismissed some of the board members as fraudulent and charlatans. What do you have to say about that?
I'm not sure he was referring to the ones who are seated in front of you. I don't know, maybe there are some in the past, I don't know, but I'm not sure he was referring to these ones. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't comment on that one. All right.
Could you please say, sorry, could you please say which media house you represent and your name?
No, there was, if you allow her to answer, to respond to one question then there was one.
Thank you. So I will answer your question on the doctors and the structure that is laid down in the hospital regarding to see our patron belong to a certain division in the hospital. We have got consultants in different specialties. For example, I'm a gynecologist, so I belong to the division of gynecology. Chairperson who is elected by the members of that division. And each division has got regular meetings where they discuss what to the board. So each of these divisions therefore brings their matters to the Medical Advisory Committee, and we discuss those matters as Medical Advisory Committee, and then how the resolution mechanism is laid down. And that is why I'm saying that the doctors who went to see our patron to give misleading information for your information, because the information they took to the patron is misleading and does not represent the current status of the hospital. They should have followed that clearly stated structure, bringing forward and then come with a resolution. And that is why I said that they jumped the gun. They did not follow the laid down structure.
May I ask a follow-up question?
Yes.
The ones who went to see the president, they offered misleading information. If you would tell us what bit of that was disinformation, and number two, bearing in mind the procedure that these people did not feel that the board would actually listen to them, or if the board actually listened, then they would not act upon those complaints. Because I believe these are people who, I mean, if they have served for 30 years, like Dr. Onyambo here said, they must know this structure. So what do you feel drove these people to such levels as to the president himself?
Let me start by saying that they did not try to communicate. They did not come to communicate to the Medical Advisory Committee. If they had communicated to us and that had failed, then they would have a reason to go ahead. You know, you try, at least you try to communicate to through the laid down structures. And these are colleagues, so we know each other. You can even stop me in the corridors and tell me what is ailing, what you feel or what your complaint would be. Our chairman is also a colleague, so we cannot really say that they tried to follow the structures and the structures failed before they went to the patron. And as we have said, we are colleagues, we have also been here for those many years, and therefore we understand the hospital structure very well. And what I am calling misleading information is to go and say that the hospital is not functional. Because we have seen, you have seen for yourself as you are walking around, you have seen the numbers the CEO has presented, that the hospital is very well functional, had it at 80% occupancy is a very high occupancy. And therefore, that is why I'm saying that the information they took to the patron was misleading. And that is probably why we are having the circumstances in the last 3 days.
There's something I want to add there. Mercy asked a very good question before, and I think we did not address that question because she asked, there is an apparent multifaceted the hospital association to resolve what appears to be a problem in the Nairobi Hospital. And she mentioned the head of public service having been approached. She also mentioned the CS of health having been approached, and now finally the patron of the Kenya Hospital Association being approached. This is true, but don't read them as different approaches. To the best of my knowledge, because I was actively involved in those processes, did assign this work to the head of public service, and they worked together with us as a board to resolve the problem, and we formed a joint, I call it a broad-based board if you want, that involved the other parties. But we had a 5-point agenda, and if you refer to what the patron did talk about the 5-point agenda, we were The key features, one is to look at the articles of association, and the second was to look at our register and do a cleanup of the register. In that regard was to withdraw all court cases. Because the court cases, we couldn't meet as a board with these court cases in place. So we couldn't progress in any of the items of the agenda if we had add more court cases in that regard. So it became difficult to progress. So wherever we would get a window where we have challenged the court orders and we could have withdrawal of court cases. And then finally there came a challenge on the legitimacy of the chairman of the board, and the team that had joined to some of the members of the team that had joined for mediation just withdrew from the board and stopped attending meetings. You see, now that again scuttled that whole process. So when or in the channel of trying to solve using the head of public service. So this is the truth of the matter, and this is how it happened. But as I tell you, but we are recovering. And we have recovered, let me say, because in January we posted profits, or surplus, let me say we don't have profits. And in February we did post a surplus also. And if to the nation, a hospital that is functional without much disruption. So we identify with the 5-point agenda that you had the patron talk about, because it was ours and we owned it. And we were one.
Question. You had a question?
You had a question. Oh, you are together, yes.
Okay.
The register, yes, we have a membership of about 3,200. And members are onboarded by application. Even you would go to the office, a nomination form, get one proposer who is a member and a seconder who is a member, and pay a fee of 10,000. And then you submit that form with your fee, evidence that you've paid the fee. That form, the Board of Management does not meet every day. And over time, sometimes you can accumulate. Like now, we have not onboarded members for the last 2 years because of the obvious. No, in 1 year, you may see at the end of the year there is a spike of onboarding members because we have accumulated these requests over a period of time. Then we onboarding members. You will see these spikes very frequently because the board takes time before they onboard members. And the second thing I want to mention about it, there are many aspects of the cleanup of the register that is ongoing, as was pointed, comprehensive in terms of capturing data of members of the register. So this is one aspect that we are doing. We are knowing who is alive. It's a 70-year-old hospital. Who is not alive? So I can assure you, from the work that I've had that is happening, that the work is thorough and our register is.
He has never seen that register. That at some point he was told the register is at this year, another time the register is at the attorney.
There was a raid in the hospital and all our documents were taken. That's in the public domain. But subsequently those documents have returned. Secondly, you know now very well that action, that's not, but if I want to confirm that I'm a member in good standing, I can go and confirm, and no member of Kenya Hospital Association is barred from going to confirm that their name is in the register. No one. There's a court ruling on this issue because it was taken to court also to make available that register for free for all to see. I think that is, you cannot do that for data protection reasons. Just print register and pin it, either a court order or lawfully doing so. And if there is a
even after the matter report separately, but we are still seeing intimidation. What's ongoing in terms of the ongoing police probe we are still witnessing?
I'm not fully privy to what informed agency wants to investigate the affairs of the Nairobi Hospital. And that we have done. Till now, there is no need of arresting our opinion. We will present ourselves fully to anyone who wants to investigate that are outside the domain of the board. Those are individual matters. They are not matters of the board. I don't want to comment on those ones. But as it pertains to the work that each director does here as a board member, I will tell you that we...
Yeah, so I think that's the thing. Okay, so we will be handing over, we'll give you handouts on the... thank you very much.
Like,